Hello everyone, it's your boy NightGhost1400, and today I'm making a video about mapping. It's been a hot minute since I've done a video on mapping. I'm very excited for this video actually because I haven't been mapping in a couple months now. Kind of took a break from it, simply because I was feeling burnt out on the process, and now I'm actually pretty excited to get back into mapping again. My last video on mapping was, well, other people's maps were, well, just mapping in general was 3 months ago when the D. Einberg playtest, which was another person's playtest, and before that, last video on one of my maps was over a year ago on DE Mason update number 1 and DE Abandon update number 1, which are both maps that I have kind of scrapped in a sense. I kind of gave up on working on those maps simply because I think they were in too bad of a state and I was so inexperienced that starting all over might have been the best idea. Like the brushwork on those maps, or like the way it was constructed was so bad that most of the time entire sections would just have to be deleted just to rework them. So I've decided to work on a brand new map called DE Inspection. That's the work in progress title right now. I've been working on this map for a couple months now, and I kind of took a break from it. That's simply because, and I just kind of wanted to show you, for those of people who playtested the last version, what has changed in the new version that I'm working on, and for those of you people who are my friends who subscribed to my channel back in the early days, who are, curious about my mapping because you haven't seen my maps in over a year. So, let me just pull up the current workshop version of DE Inspection. We'll just go through it, go through all the things that sucked, and then we'll go into the new version of DE Inspection, which has not been posted to the workshop yet, and we'll talk about it. I need to post videos on this channel. My last video was over a week ago, and I kind of committed myself to posting at least once a week. So, let's get into it. Let's boot up the workshop map. Alright. Here it is. DE Inspection. Now this current radar right here is actually the new radar for the map, because the file that the files uses the same names for the new map and the old map, so this radar kind of just encompasses it all, so you can kind of a little glimpse of what the new stuff looks like. So let's just exec these real quick. Alright. So let's go over the first couple major things that you can kind of look over. So, the older version of DE Inspection, for a lot of people, was a very boring and simple map. It was kind of just you either hit one side or the other. There wasn't really a lot of rotation. Actually, my view mouse did not exec. Hold on. There we go. The reason why it was so boring in the first place was because you pretty much had two options. There was never really a reason to not go into the mid area because T's pretty much got it for free. You could just go in here and then you could take these fights, or you just kind of go in here and you could take these fights. This made the map really boring for a lot of players because there really wasn't any strategy around rotating or faking certain pushes at all. And another big problem was in fact the mid area, which made it so boring. It was also the fact that it rotates for T's, which is kind of a problem. Wait, rotates for T's were super fast. Like you could thread in this area, which could cause rotates, and immediately rotate faster than a C, almost as fast or even faster than a CT could, and then already I'm attacking this other site. Whereas for a CT, let's say I was playing a somewhat common position. Let's say I was playing here. I see the gunfire. I hear it. Start rotating. And if we probably put a side by side of the timings, in order to get over here, it would take longer just to even peek out here, but that's not even the place that was being threatened. So it'd take, like, if I went through here, then I can pick the place I was being threatened. So basically, T's had a lot of great map control that the CTs just could not deal with. Either you're just like, you pretty much just had to sit here and go, man, I hope that gunfire over there is a fake because I cannot leave here, otherwise we'll be rotating onto an empty site, which sucked. So the map was boring, and on top of that, it was broken for the T's. Second problem was this B. Third problem was this B site. The way that it was described to me was that the flow of the site was really weird for a lot of people. Like, people just kind of didn't know what to expect. Like, you kind of got this house over here, which should theoretically work great for cover. Oh, hold on. My mouse is, trying to die. Okay. This should theoretically work great as a cover. You could peek here, yeah, buddy. But because it's also an entrance, this makes it really awkward for where you should properly hold as a CT. Like, this should be a no-brainer, but you kind of have to hold all the way back here if you even want to challenge something. And going back here exposes you to that. So you want to play here, but it's also really fast. It's like, it's a really awkward, and it just didn't flow well as most people described. So I kind of had to redo the positioning and placements for how the connectors worked, because that was a connector and I had to redo that. What else was a problem? Those were the main problems that people had, was that the mid just was super boring and that the B site flowed pretty poorly. Those were the main problems. People tended to like these. If you don't know what these are pre-marked lineups that you can use. So you can stand on the X, and then you look at the other X, and then you do a jump throw, or any kind of throw, and it lands right here. So learning utility for maps you're playtesting is really hard and annoying, pretty much all the time, because when you're doing that, the map's gonna get constantly changed a lot. So one smoke lineup that can work for you one day is not gonna work for the next playtest. So what I like to do is I like to pre-built and pre-find all my lineups for the players, so that when they throw, so that when they learn the lineups, they don't have to constantly figure out and find new lineups for it. It's also useful because I've color-coded everything. So like the yellow throw lands in the yellow area, the green throw lands in the green area, the red throw lands in the red area. And it works like this all the way through. Red lineup. The only real problem that this had before was that a lot of the time people did not know whether or not these were jump throws or not, or just standing throws. So now I've added text, which tells you whether it's a jump throw or a standing throw or not, which I think is pretty cool. In the newer version, this site did not get changed much. I think I'm pretty much done talking about all the things that were bad, so let me show you all the things that are new, because I think that we got a lot more to talk about on that front. Also, pardon if I'm sniffing a lot. My nose is kind of clogged up right now. I think it might be a little bit of allergies. So yeah, already we could see the, you kind of see where the new things come in with this layout. Let me just go into here. Exec map test commands. That's my bind to just give me a crap ton of stuff that I can work with. So first off, we're just going to run forward, and you're going to instantly see a lot of the differences that have happened. So yeah, a lot of major differences here. First thing you definitely notice was the new mid. This new mid route is a lot tighter and a bit more interesting. We also have now a proper mid now, whereas before we had this kind of weird overpass thing, but the CTs couldn't take control of these areas, so it wasn't really interesting. We kind of have, it's kind of a weird mid, but I kind of like that. So now, whereas before you can go up and kind of just get this area for free. It's now kind of like a cat thing that leads into a B apps type take, which is like Mirage B apps type thing, which I think is really interesting. Also, there's a new lineup here. I figured out a lineup that also you can see the text. Look, it's all text so that it tells you what type of throw it is. This one is a jump throw. This lineup is a CT throw. It's kind of deep, so if you throw that and don't push on time, people can push into here, which I think is interesting enough. Well, more stuff over here to show you. The only thing I really had to probably add is putting text saying where these lineups go, because this one can go here, but some people may not know that and might throw a bad smoke. I don't know, but I've added a lot of new lineups, as you can see, that were kind of necessary now. I have recently been of the opinion that by doing this, I can increase the level of play on my maps, because, you know, if people play without using utility, then you might as well have might as well be playing with a bunch of silvers with kind of good utility. But by implementing the lineups in so that people don't have to learn them and just can kind of throw them, I think they increased the level of play. Next thing, this connector's been removed, so now you can actually play here more solidly and comfortably. Kind of this house position. Like, these peaks are actually fine now. I don't know why I did this, but this is destructible for some reason, because I thought it would be funny. But now, yeah, now the site is a bit more options to play on. You're no longer limited by the threat of getting shot by that connector. And you can actually play a lot of options. I also don't know why I did this either. I thought it was funny. Yeah, new B connector. It's I kind of like the way it was going. I kind of had the idea that theoretically you could have multiple people play. You could probably play 2 mid, theoretically. You could have one playing here, who could play like a rotate or something. He could play from various different positions, and then if he hears commotion, he could insta-rotate through here, kind of be a backup, or you can go back through here to play window. It's kind of long. It's longer than like jungle window on Mirage, but I think it still works out just fine. You could play a really fast rotate to watch the cat take from mid. We've also added this new window here, which well, pretty much the entire mid is new, but I took a lot of inspiration from how mid is set up on Mirage. Kind of having like multiple people play mid in a way, while also having this upper position of the window. I even found a lineup for a one-way smoke because I hate my players, the people who want to play this game. I am an evil man. Yeah, there's even a lineup for the one-way. Just figured out the timings, and I threw lineups so that smokes land here and here, and even get a smoke that lands in there so that you don't have to deal with as much of a one-way. I still couldn't figure it out on how to make sure one-ways weren't that much of a thing. I threw that wrong, didn't I? Oh no, it landed just fine. Sick. But yeah, I just want to like playtest how this new area is now, because I think it will play a lot more interesting than what I had before. Before, I was going for like an overpass thing, but overpass is a very hard map to replicate, simply because either you don't do it good enough and it's really boring because, you know, the CTs are playing from the same positions every time instead of pushing up, whereas on overpass, you had to play a lot around pushing up really far into the areas, and then Ts have to push up into the areas to take control and gain rotate options. I didn't do that before because I'm bad. But now, I just kind of went for more of a typical kind of 3-lane, but I still think that has a lot of interesting ideas that you have to work around. Like Like this mid is very atypical and kind of whack for how it's designed. It's a very interesting mid, I would say, and I think I might be kind of happy with how it's designed. But, you know, we'll have to see how it plays. Yeah. What else can I add? Yeah. This area has been extended out a little bit, but it's kind of hard to compare the old to the new, which so much changed. Like, not a lot on the sites have changed that much. Like, the only main notable things is like, oh, this billboard up here was added because it makes the smokes easier to land in here from the lineups that I pre-curated. I guess this area, which used to be solo for this purpose of peeking here, now has a secondary purpose of playing as one of the mid-window players. So if you do get smoked off here, and then they push and they're going out catway, you can actually rotate to be like kind of like the third player really quickly if you need to. The only thing you have to worry about is that if you do that, you can actually make a jump through here, I think. Actually, you can go like, if I'm not bad, you can go like this. If you're not bad, you can go like this, and you can get into window, and then you're gonna get that cuts out the rotate. You can get flanked really easily, which I think is an interesting dynamic. Yeah, a lot of interesting things that I kind of added. Though if you do get smoked off, what you can kind of do is you can jump through the smoke, land down here, and then you can take either a fight like this, or if they try to like molly you out, it's really deep, so you can actually hide behind here and peek like this if you wanted to. It's gonna take a lot to get you out of this position. Or you can jump up here and then take the fight as they go here from this kind of headshot angle, jump up like this, take the fight like that, peek out like here. You know, kind of a deep cubby, but it's very committal. Once you're in here, you're kind of stuck. Unless, you know, they fall off the push. I think you could also get on from Cat itself right here. So yeah, implementing a lot of interesting ways for the mid players to quickly rotate to site, I think is a cool dynamic because both players can do this, and it frees you up to play like two mid players here, or potentially even more. You could have 3 mid players because the site rotates can be really quick. Like one thing you could do is you could have a player push up through this red corridor, and it takes a while to get up here and to push this red position, but you can get up here somewhat late. And then you play one here, and one window, and if you hear an attack coming, you can rotate really fast and kind of defend pushes. The only problem I would see is like proper smoke usage, like there. Then your influence is really limited unless you go up on this bridge and like throw like a flash. That's a terrible flash to throw. Like that, you can go over. Yeah. I like the way A site is designed. I think it's pretty cool in my opinion. Like I don't think there's anything site really like this in CS, which I like because you don't really get a dynamic like this with the 2 pillars and these full body peaks and stuff, and this BF's position. You could kind of tell which maps I like by my map design, because you could tell this is clearly Inferno inspired, and this mid kind of has the fundamental ideas of how a map like Mirage is played. You have like the Mirage window, and you're kind of incentivized to play the connectors a bit because of the quick rotates back to site. But I think it's a pretty cool map. I'm probably gonna play test it tomorrow when I have time. Ooh, somebody has added for people in the Source Engine Discord. I think I might take them up on that offer. I join Razzle.